I mean, we'll jump straight into it. At the end of last year, found myself taking too many days off.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I found myself burnt out, drinking every day, on the road, kind of moving this really fast life. And I ran into you guys. I'm not gonna lie, this motto, this lifestyle you built changed my life in the past 3 months for probably the best it's ever had.
That's awesome.
And I truly mean this. I found myself probably in like the darkest point of my career. It was the peak of it. I mean, New Year's Eve, I found myself in a hotel room in a dark place by myself. I mean, it had been the busiest year of my life, made so much money, did arena tours and Vegas residencies, all these amazing things, but I didn't take any time to really work on myself outside of that. It was like, let's grind, let's be the busiest human in the world. I wasn't working out maybe 2 days a week. I was drinking maybe 3 days a week, finishing sometimes a whole bottle of tequila.
Yeah.
I don't drink at home ever, but you put me in a nightlife scene and
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta be part of it, you know? So I had this whole idea that I had to be someone, and I lost half of what it was, and I was taking too many days off on myself.
It was one of those moments where like I could have easily given up, like easily, you know, it was like, but I believe that that's life, right? Life is the decisions you make every single day. And you can either make this decision or make that decision. You can either make a decision that's gonna help you, or you can make a decision that's gonna hinder you. You can make a decision that's gonna elevate you, or you can make a decision that's gonna set you back. And so for me, it's in those moments where just make the decision to keep going, to keep trying. And you can cry and you can feel sorry for yourself and you can, you know, whatever, but you gotta get up from that and you gotta wipe yourself off and say, nope, not today. Like it's not happening today. I'm glad you're here, man.
Finally.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you.
I've been watching this for so long, and I'm really
which
excited.
is humbling, so thank you. It's
Man.
funny when people come up to me and they're like, I just saw this episode and I thank you so much for this and that. It's like, you did what? Like you actually listened to it? Because, you know, you somewhat pay attention to like what's out there and you'll see like your YouTube and it'll say like 13 views, you know, and you're like, but then, you know, it's Spotify, Apple, it's all over. So you don't really know when people are catching it. And, but at the end of the day, if it reaches one person, then it's cool, you know? So
the best part about it is the message, man. Cause like even those snips you put on Instagram, I'm like, shit, I need to hear more of this. And I need to see more people doing stuff like this. Cause a lot of interviews, podcasts are like just about the person, but the message sometimes gets lost. And every time I see you post something, I'm like, not only is it like inspiring, but it gives me that gem I need for the day to keep moving.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's interesting that you say that because for me, I get stuck into thinking that I have to recreate the wheel. The truth is, if I really look on my life and my voice, it's been saying the same thing over and over again. So I think what it is it's a testament to consistency. And it's a testament to, it's not hard. It's doing it over and over and over again. And I think we complicate how to do it instead of just doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, just show up and do it. And then, you know, if you have your niche or you have your thing, and for me, I created this no days off thing, and it's like, I got to stick with that same dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, consistency, commitment, these things that I find myself repeating. I'm sure my staff is like, oh, here he goes again, saying the same thing. But the truth is that if I wasn't living that way, then I probably wouldn't be saying it. So it's like, it's obviously working and it resonates with me. So
man,
I say all that to say thank you, because
of course,
men like yourself that are successful and doing what you're doing and not taking a day off on yourself, to hear you say that I inspire you is like, it's pretty cool, because you're inspiring people every day as well.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, we'll jump straight into it. At the end of last year, found myself taking too many days off.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I found myself burnt out, drinking every day, on the road, kind of moving this really fast life. And I ran into you guys, and I'm not gonna lie, this motto, this lifestyle you've built changed my life in the past 3 months for probably the best it's ever had.
That's awesome.
And I truly mean this.
Yeah.
I found myself probably in like the darkest point of my career. It was the peak of it. Everything.
And this was last year? Or the
end of last year.
2023?
Yeah. So, I mean, New Year's Eve, I found myself in a hotel room in a dark place by myself. I mean, it had been the busiest year of my life. Made so much money, did arena tours and Vegas residencies, all these amazing things. But I didn't take any time to really work on myself outside of that.
Right.
It was like, let's grind, let's be the busiest human in the world. I wasn't working out maybe 2 days a week. I was drinking maybe 3 days a week, finishing sometimes a whole bottle of tequila.
Yeah.
I don't drink at home ever, but you put me in a nightlife scene and I'm like, I gotta be part of it, you know? So I had this whole idea that I had to be someone, and I lost half of what it was, and I was taking too many days off on myself.
When you do a set, just so we can frame this, when you do a set, how long is it? Like from the time you, and even like the setup, like, cause you still have to, I'm assuming, be there.
Yeah.
Even before you go on, right? So like, walk us through a little bit of like when you have to show up, when you actually go on, how long you go, maybe how long you stay after you get off, because I'm assuming it's probably easy to just jump right into the party and keep going. So like,
definitely,
are we talking like 10 hours or are we like, I mean,
for a travel gig, if you think about it, it's probably a 48-hour job.
Yeah.
From the minute you wake up to getting to the airport, you travel a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it is. Then sometimes I'll show up in, let's say, Vegas, have to do sound check at 7 p.m. So I'll show up to the venue, do sound check, eat. Now I work out. Now I focus on my health. But, you know, I'd say it's probably a 6 to 7 hour process once I'm in the venue or the city.
Yeah. Because I think people see DJs and they're like, oh, you know, they're up there for an hour, 2 hour set. And that's it. You know, and they don't understand the preparation, the travel, you know, everything behind the scenes. And at the end of the day, it's not an easy job.
No, it's
not. And
not.
you're the energy of an entire club. So that probably weighs heavy on you too.
It's so much. It's like I almost had to create two personas. There's Danny, who's me, and you know, I take care of myself and all this. And then there's Crespo, which is actually my last name. But Crespo has to be this person who turns it on no matter what. The switch has to turn on, because if not, it's almost like, what's this guy doing up there? He's kind of just standing around. There's no happiness, no energy.
You gotta be live.
Yeah. And so alcohol was like a big thing for me. I had to use it to turn that switch on. December 31st hit. I was in a tough place, and I made this commitment once I started working with NDO and really drinking it and like being here at the gym and meeting you and the whole team. I was like, this is the space I need to be in. These are people who really know how to push themselves in the right way, in the right direction, and are taking things and evolving. And I was like, if I continue this route that I'm going on, I'm taking more days off on myself than I think.
Right.
By each sip of alcohol, each time I stay out till 6 a.m. in the morning. So once January 1st hit, I don't know if you remember, but I was in the gym January 2nd.
Yeah, no, I was remember.
Like, I'm doing this. And I've been sober 67 days.
Oh, amazing.
And this.
So no alcohol?
No alcohol.
None.
Not a single sip.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is that something you feel like you're going to stick with, or do you feel like you are probably just going to?
I'd like to, it's reframed my relationship with it, you know, being able to not have alcohol in my space and teach myself that I could have fun without it and be like a social human was great. And then also, like, I'm not having this with me. It's kind of like an energy drink. It makes me feel, it's not an energy drink, but it makes me feel like I have something like premium in my hand.
Right.
So when I'm drinking it, it's like no one's questioning me like, oh, why aren't you having fun? Why aren't you doing anything? So it was like a really good testament, and it's reframed my relationship with having fun, and that you can be sober, or that you can enjoy a moment and not need to be inebriated.
Isn't it interesting? I find it interesting, and we've been dealing with it since we were probably 16, 17 years old, is that it's always been interesting and fascinating to me that alcohol is the only thing that if you choose not to do it, people look at you like you're a weirdo or something. Like, I'll never forget. I've never been a big drinker.
Yep.
I do love whiskey. I'll be 100% honest.
Same.
And I've gotten into, my wife always laughs, like, cause I'm like, once I go in, I kind of go in, but I'm not like whiskey doesn't make me like a crazy drunk. Like tequila watch out. I want to go fight. If we're drinking tequila, we're going to fight. So that's not a good one for me.
Definitely.
I learned my lesson with tequila a long time ago. But whiskey is more of a really relaxing, like just relaxes you. You just want to listen to music and vibe out. Like so, but it can be, to your point, it can be something that it becomes a vice and becomes your crutch.
Exactly.
And it happens to everybody. It doesn't matter if you take no days off on life, you can get caught up into, that and I've, holidays and stuff like that. You can easily get into that. But
definitely.
But my point is, like, I've never understood why when you go out, because I wasn't a big drinker, I used to go out all the time and not drink.
Mm-hmm.
You sure you don't want to drink? You sure you don't want to drink? You sure you don't want to drink? Like, it's like, bro, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And I've never understood that. I've never understood it, because you don't have somebody like coming up to you and be like, you sure you don't want cocaine? You sure you don't want cocaine? You sure you don't want, you sure you don't want a hit of this weed? Like, nobody acts like that with drugs or anything like, but alcohol. Everybody acts like you're some weirdo if you don't drink. And I think that's such a wrong. And alcohol, I just recently saw some research on like, are there real health benefits of alcohol? And there's really only like a minuscule of health benefits. Like, especially if you drink too much, there's like no health benefits. So so it's really like the most unuseful drug, except for social and does make people come out of their shell, what have you, or stress reliever or whatever. But it is weird to me that people just can't understand people that don't drink, like, or choose not to drink when they're out. And like, I've always been a person that can kind of fit in wherever,
right?
And so it's like, leave me alone. I'm good. I feel good. I'm great. I can talk. I can dance. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm having a good time. Leave me alone. Like,
it's almost like a stigma now. It's like, if you're not out and drinking, it's like, what's the point? And that was a question a lot of people asked me. It was like, oh, now that you're sober, like, are you going to be able to have fun? And I'm like, is that a question we ask ourselves now?
Isn't that like crazy? And that's what I mean. It's like, where did we get to that point? Yeah,
and that's why, like, I challenge myself, and I want people to do this also. Is like, to me, alcohol is something that could be enjoyed and should be, but there's a point where it can hold you back. And I feel like as a society, we've become so like attuned to like, oh, we got to drink. Let's go loosen up. We had a long week. Let's get drunk. And I think that's fine, right? But at what point is it like, can we go have fun without it? Can we challenge ourselves to like evolve? Because the level of clarity I had and have had since I've stopped drinking is insane.
Do you feel like your sets have gotten better?
Way better.
Yeah.
I will say it takes longer for me to get in that flow state.
Okay.
But once I'm in it, technically, I could go for hours.
Yeah.
Where before it's like, take 4 shots before the set. I'm loosened up. Okay, go. And then 2 hours in, I'm a little sloppy.
Right.
Maybe there's people in the booth, and then I stop worrying about it.
Yeah.
Or I stop thinking too much about it. And what we do requires so much of our talent, right? And in everything we're putting our hearts into. And at some point, whether it's alcohol or other vices or distractions, it's like those are actually going to push you back and take you from that space of being the next step of evolution in your journey. So for me, it was like, no one's ever told me to stop drinking. I had to tell myself. And it's like, if you want to evolve, and that was the itch I had in my heart, was like, how do I evolve? It's like, I got to take the one thing that might be holding me back. And
so when you were alone New Year's Eve, you said, like, what spoke to you that said, you know what, I got to change?
I had heartburn.
Okay.
I was sick. I had to go perform, and I didn't want to. And I think anything that you love doing, right, should never feel like work. And when it starts to, you have to like go back to the roots of why you love it. And I sat there in my room and I was like looking at pictures of me when I first started, and I was like, I wasn't drinking at this time and I had the best time in my life. And I was playing the best DJ sets. I wasn't worried about the girls, the money, the fame, or the recognition. There was no ego involved.
Right.
It was just because I loved it. And I thought about it and I was like, damn, I need to get back to that space.
Yeah.
And I felt like the only way to do that was to really commit to myself. And the ultimate commitment at that point was to take alcohol out of the space, because physically I had like a stomach ulcer. I had been put in the hospital from fights and
wow.
different things. And I was like, I had this realization. I was like, man, there's been little signs that the universe has sent me as I've been drinking this whole time in my life. Like, let's try and take it out.
Yeah.
And as I have, the evolution has happened very quickly. And I owe a lot of it to No Days Off and being here around you and the team in the gym, the messages you guys deliver, because I truly sit here in this gym now and I'm like, damn, I look great. I feel great here physically, and I don't have heartburn anymore. Right. All these things.
Yeah.
And I really think it comes down to really making that commitment to yourself, like you always say. And people think of it as like, oh, no days off is like, that sounds, it's too much. Like, how can I take a day off? But like, really, it's about taking a day off on or not taking a day off on the things that are affecting you. You know, like the alcohol was really something that was distracting me, and I was afraid to like push it away. But as soon as I came into the space and saw how motivating you guys were and how driven it was towards health and wellness, I was like, I need to surround myself with people like this and a community like this. And man, I've, not to get like numerically, but I've gained 10 great pounds of weight.
Yeah.
Lost fat. Yeah. And I'm in the gym every day, 6 days a week, even on the road now. So it's like, there's been a huge evolution, and I owe it a lot to the message that you decided to deliver.
I think that a lot of times people think No Days Off is like adding more stuff to their life. And oftentimes it can actually be the exact opposite. It can be taking things out of your life to give you more room and more time to do what's better for to grow yourself. So when you eliminate things, then all of a sudden you're having more time to work on things that matter more. And when you eliminate alcohol, you're probably waking up earlier, you're not sleeping as much, you feel better to be able to get the exercise in. So it's actually by taking one element out that most people will say, especially in your role, would be like, oh, that's not a big deal. You're a DJ. Like, you know, like that's not a big deal. You should be drinking.
Yeah.
But you recognize that like, no, this is holding me back. And I do think you'll get to a place where you'll find, you know, I don't particularly love the word balance, but you know, you'll find that thing that works for you, you know, that, or not, or you're like, you know what, I love my life without alcohol, which is great. I've heard many people make that choice and rock with it and go with it for forever, which is great.
Yeah.
But I think you have to find that for you, like whatever it is that works for you. But I love the fact that you get it. Like a lot of people, they just never get it. Like you tell them about No Days Off, you kind of make it, and they still just don't wrap their heads around it. Yeah. And to me, it's a very simple approach. It's like, I just did a podcast recently, and they asked me what it was, and I was like, at the end of the day, it's you wake up, like that's not granted. Like that's not a given. Like us being alive is something that is a gift. It's, you know, life is a gift. So if you wake up and there's air in your lungs and you're able to put your feet on the ground and attack the day, why not do it at a high level? And why not impact by taking no days off on yourself? Why not impact all those around you? So like, I'm sure, and I would love to hear more about this. Like you have a team, you know, have you seen growth in your team ever since you've made this switch?
Man, yes, big time. Because I have a couple other businesses on the side that kind of tie in with Crespo.
Yeah.
I opened a DJ music production school, and that for a long time, and I don't want to make this all about alcohol, but while I was distracted and, you know, maybe in a path that wasn't very committed to who I was, that was falling by the wayside. It was just a boutique, like hobby. And once I really committed, my team came together and were like, he's ready. It's our time to really hustle hard too.
Right.
So the school, ever since, I'd say probably since January, has grown revenue, everything. So many cool students, amazing moments, where before it was just like, oh, I'm on the road, I'm busy, someone else handle this. And they're like, man, this guy doesn't really care.
Right.
And as I really started to commit to myself and taking those days to like create room, like you said, for the more important things, the school, my health. I was able to have space in my days to be like, hey team, let's get on a call, or hey team, let's do a dinner. Let's build so that I can help create a community that actually wants to be here. And so I've seen that happen tenfold. Even my manager, my agent, they're like, I'm sending them new music every day now. They're like, what's going on here? Like, what's in your Wheaties? What do you, and you know, I was like, it really is just that commitment to yourself. And it's easy in this world to get lost in that because we have work, we have social media, we have war, hunger, all this stuff that can distract us. But I think if each of us takes that day and that time each day to work on ourselves a little bit, we're contributing to the greater common good of everybody.
Oh, 100%.
You know?
And then also too, I mean, what I hear, and I say this often, is that like if you take care of yourself first, then everyone around you benefits from that, because they're, number one, you're setting an example. And then number two, the better you are, the better you treat people. And so, you know what I mean? Like if you don't feel good, if you're hungover, if you're tired, if you're out of shape, if you have heartburn, if your stomach hurts, it's a natural thing to be a little grumpy, to not respond in a healthy way, to snap at people, to not reach out, to drop the ball. Like that's just natural. That's a natural byproduct of just not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
But if you do take care of yourself, all of a sudden you're waking up with a little bit different, you know, pep in your step, and you respond better because you're in a good mood.
Of
course.
Like
oftentimes the more you're in better shape, you eat well, these things that put you in a better mood in general. And the better mood you are, the better you treat people. So,
exactly. Yeah. One thing I've really watched, and I really commend you, is like, I've always seen you carry yourself with anyone around you very respectfully and kindly. And like, you are always in the place to speak to someone. You know, a lot of people, especially in the industry I work in, are like standoffish, hungover, whatever it is, think they're too cool, too good for
the
something.
sunglasses on.
Yeah. And I'm like, man. And I think it's a testament to who you are and what you've built, is the way you treat people also resonates in the community you've built, you know. And like, I even when I talk to Robin and the whole team, I'm like, it resonates through you into them. Even the people here at the gym, you know, like Legend and all these the trainers and stuff, like they'll always say hi to me and be like, yo, what's good? How's everything? You working? Sometimes they'll correct the workout for me. And like, that's a community that like, it almost spreads to the rest of the world. And it's a job that I think more people need to do, because as we are kinder to each other, I think things change.
Yeah, I heard somebody say the other day that being nice can come across as being fake, but being kind is a whole different perspective and a different authenticity to be kind. And like I went to the Miami Open last night, and there was this cute little overweight girl with braces on. You could tell she was young. She was working the door, and she just had this sad face, and she's checking tickets, you know, to get into the suite level. And you know, you're going into the suites, you know, like the high end area, and you know, here she is checking the tickets to make sure you're going in the right place. Yeah. And I just asked her, I was like, "Are you okay?" like that. And she literally goes, "Look what I'm doing," like that. And I was like, "Wow. What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, the tennis matches are on the other side of this wall, and I don't get to see it. All I get to see is look what I'm looking at." Like, and she's looking at a door, you know? And I said to her, I said, "Smile." I said, "You know why?" I said, "Because if you give me a good experience by you just being hello and nice to me and kind to me," I should have said kind, then that is going to make me walk into the suite like feeling good. And you're going to help my experience here today like that." So I said that. And then I went, watched the tennis. And then when I was leaving, she had the biggest smile on her face.
I love that.
When I left. And I was like, and listen, that sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I do try to be intentional with as many people as possible. And then I also look back at times I might have left people worse than I found them, you know, by being a dick or being rude or because, you know, so it reminds me to not do that. Like, it reminds me that every encounter matters, and you never know how you're going to leave someone, and you never know how that experience is going to affect them, like maybe even
Respect.
later in life, you know?
Yeah,
So,
respect.
yeah.
That's huge.
But I think we call, and especially men like yourselves, I mean, imagine the amount of people that you get to speak to.
Yeah.
And you have a microphone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's powerful. And the things you say matter. And
Definitely.
you never know, there could be one person in the crowd that can just like be like, oh my gosh, that changed my life, or oh my gosh, I can apply that. So it's something definitely.
And like you said, it works both ways. Like, I could be a dick to someone holding the Bad Bunny request sign up on their forehead, or I could be like, hey, let me play that song and shout them out.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's moments in the night where maybe I want to be the dick, but a lot of the times I have to remember that like what we get to do is be in a position to allow people to feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And I never want to go home and be like, damn, I might have made that person's night terrible.
Right.
Because that's something I will weigh on me all the time.
Yeah.
So I guess when we're in these spaces, it's like, you know, I think people call it influencers. I think the people who are actually influential are the ones that are creating happiness and change or positivity in someone's life, more so than like, here's my coffee face rub, stuff like that, right? I think the real influencers are the people who are doing the work like us, that are changing people's lives for the better, or at least trying to be a catalyst for change. And so that's a great example, because like, imagine if you had been like, oh, well, you don't have to be so rude, and just popped
Exactly.
off, right?
No, and a lot of times you could what's the word I'm looking for? You could validate that. Like you could find an excuse to be like, you know, I paid X amount of dollars for these tickets, you know. You could, you know what I mean? You could like find a reason to be rude.
Right.
Like, which is, you know, what most people do. So
yeah.
But it's unnecessary. How many times you get asked to play Bad Bunny?
Oh gosh. I've gotten to this point now where I keep a $100 sign on my phone in the club, and when people hold them up, I hold the phone back with the $100 money request.
I love it.
Just to be
Cash
funny.
at me and I'll play it. Like, wow.
Yeah, but the cool thing is, like, being in a nightlife space, there's the yin and yang to it, right? There's the dark side, but there's also the light side. Yeah. There's the people who might be going to escape things and doing tons of drugs, and there's nothing wrong with that. You got to do what you decide. But then there's the people who are genuinely there to express themselves and dance and have fun. And it doesn't always need to be about alcohol. You know, there's people in the club literally just standing there because they love the person who's DJing, the music, whatever it is. That's the part of music and nightlife I love. But there's always that dark side to everything. And I think that's a part where as a society, some people tend to get lost, especially in Miami. So for me to be sober in that space and have NDO, or maybe even like I have a greens drink that I take with me sometimes, it's just trying to show people also that like I'm up there having fun no matter what.
Right.
Nothing else matters, right? You come here to enjoy. Pick your poison, whatever it is, if you want. But I do hope that we move as a society into that space of like, hey, fun isn't just about drinking or changing my mindset through a substance. It can literally be just reaching happiness through dance or whatever it is you come to do.
I mean, music to me is like one of the things that brings us together the most.
Definitely.
And I'm sure you see it, the diversity and the differences in people that are at your shows. And I mean, nobody looks alike and everybody looks different, and everybody's enjoying themselves. Everybody's having a blast. And there's always that when the beat drops and everybody goes crazy, like there's something special about that. And it's gotta be pretty surreal to be like kind of the puppet master up there, kind of controlling that. So
definitely. And I think about that because it's like an exchange of energy, right? Like I give them a song, they come back with tons of energy, and it happens all night. And if you think about like what happens here in the gym or when you're training someone, it's a very similar exchange. And sometimes when you're training massive amounts of people. And so that's the cool part about what we do, I think, too. It's kind of like I call it like the shaman almost, like the dance leader, whatever it is. And it's whether it's a community in nightlife or community in health and fitness, it's so cool to see those people react, and it's a genuine exchange of energy.
I used to when I used to coach classes, and back in the day when I grew my classes to like where like 80 to 100 people would show up. Like it was like, and I was like the guy that like would kick people out of the class, and I was like infamous. Like it was like everyone had to come take my class because I would literally like, if you didn't do something I told you to, I'd be like, get out. And I would kick grown men out of, you know, my class, and sometimes women. Like it was funny. But I would walk on the treadmill, I'm not exaggerating, with my Beats headphones on for 2 hours making my 20 song playlist. And I would try to curate it to where I would take them on like a musical journey. Like I love music. I have melody and harmony tattooed on my like a symbol tattooed on my side, and I've always loved music. Yeah. But so I would literally make this, and so my question, and so to your point, that's you're 100% right. We kind of like drive that.
You're a DJ.
But one of the things that I wanted to ask you is like, have you ever like had like, you know, where you build your set and then you just have a flop, like you play something that you think is gonna like make everybody go crazy, and then you play it and it's like a freaking dud, and no one, like you're the only one, you know, like, and then you're looking out and like no one's vibing, and you're like, uh-oh, and then you just like hurry up and change the song.
I'm getting like sweaty thinking about it. Yeah, definitely. Well, first off, you're a DJ at this point. I mean, that's really what it is about selecting music and sending people on that journey. And it's funny because not to tangent too far, but when I'm down here doing open gym and I'm listening to the music, and I'm like, damn, they're rocking right now. They're doing a good job of selecting songs. Yeah. And that's part of what DJing is, the selecta. Right. In Jamaica, they call it selecta. Okay. And that's really the most important part of a DJ set, is selecting songs to make you go on that journey. Right. So that's what's really cool about how you guys incorporate music here. To your point though, yes, there's been many times where I go into like, I'll pre-plan a set for Vegas or maybe even a big festival like EDC, and I'm like, this is gonna be the set, it's gonna crush it. I get there and like rock the first 2 songs. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta improvise on spot, you know?
What do you think it is though? Because like one of the things that I noticed was sometimes the music doesn't sound the same in your headphones as it does like when you play it on speakers. Big so time. Like that was also one where it sounded amazing in the headphones, but then when I played it live, you know, on speakers, it just didn't have that same like intensity. Yeah. So then it was a freaking, for fitness, you know, it's got to be on point. Exactly. So it was just a freaking dud. But for you, I feel like it's a club environment. The speakers are really loud, and everybody's, you know, there to have to, and then how do you know too? Because that's the hard. That's part. A lot of people staring at you. Like if it's a flop, then it's probably the most awkward thing.
I've had moments where I'm like, feel like I'm rocking. Maybe the first 2-3 songs in, I'll drop my intro, and I'll have people looking up like, next song. Boo,
no
next
way.
Song. Like,
oh my god.
And that's the feeling where like, you know what flow state, like you get in your flow state all the time. I'm like trying to find it right off the bat. Right. And it's like going up to the plate and trying to hit a home run right away. And then you have people in the crowd just booing left and right, and I'm looking at each of them. And that is like the most disheartening thing, because you go into this space, you're like, all right, I planned everything. I know what I'm going to do. I'm the expert at this. And you're humbled very quickly. Yeah. And then you have to rely on your talent. Right. And what you know you're good at. And it's like, okay, this isn't working. Pivot right away.
And do you typically, because what I would do, and this is the rookie, you know, obviously I'm a rookie, I would just immediately pivot to like Bad Bunny. No, but you know what I mean? Like immediately pivot to a popular song. Like that's that actually, you know, like a song that you cannot miss. And then that way they forget, and then you just move on.
That is it. That's actually, we gotta put you in the club. All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled will never fail me. So that's something I'll like, someone's booing me, I drop it, and then their hands are up.
I love it.
That's what you get, you know, but that's what I get too. But that is a part of music for me and DJing that like will always be nerve wracking, because you are the center of attention. Mm-hmm. There's been moments where the music is cut out for me for 10 minutes. And I have to get on the mic, or, you know, get on the mic and try and improvise. So I got
like where you have to talk because no music.
Try and
like your speakers mess up or something like that.
Yeah, laptop crashes. Oh, wow. Got to reboot.
That's got to be scary.
I can only get people to say ole ole so many times, right, exactly. or sing along. And those moments are very nerve wracking, but they're also just ones that you have to understand. It's like things are gonna fail sometimes. Yeah. you know, you're going to pull a hamstring, you know, you maybe tear an ACL, whatever it is. And those moments where like maybe the club never brings you back. To me, they're part of what you said. Sometimes when those things happen, they're creating space for you to be better, or also maybe pivot to another space, you know? So there's been times when I've been kicked out of Miami clubs by big club owners, you know,
Really?
because they're not happy with the set. And
Like in the middle of the set, or just like
sometimes
after?
at the start.
Really?
When I first started in Miami, I had some people who didn't love me because I was working and maybe kind of taking the scene by storm pretty quickly. And I'm not going to get too specific because I don't want to slander anybody.
No,
but,
of course not.
there was a certain group here that I would start to play for, and each time I would get kicked off, and I'm like, what's going on? Does someone not like me? There was two things. The sets I was playing I wasn't studying with the DJs and what was working down here. I came from FSU, college town, straight here. And I kept getting kicked off. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe I'm not good at it. And later to find out, I wasn't doing my homework. I wasn't going and researching what everybody was playing down here. And I didn't realize how big of a Latin market Miami was. I was playing EDM and stuff. It was that part. And B, goes to find out that the owner of all these venues didn't necessarily love me as a person. Not sure why.
Right.
So that was a moment where I really had to pivot and understand, like, I have to do the work. I can't just be this person who comes down and tries to take everything by storm. I got to put the work in. And B, there's going to be people who aren't going to like me as I move through this space, and I'm not supposed to be there then.
Right.
You know, you got to find the places that you feel at home and that really appreciate you for what you do. And that was a hard learning lesson because Miami will eat you alive in the nightlife.
Yeah, well, in any career. You just landed like I heard some news, you just landed a big residency, right?
Yeah.
In Vegas?
Yeah, it's a huge one.
Where at?
So it's the whole Tao Group properties. So
What's it called?
Tao Group. So they own...
Oh, Tao, yeah.
Tao. So they own Omnia, Tao, Marquee, Jewel. So I'll be playing at some of those venues all year into next year.
That's amazing.
Cool.
Congratulations on that. Yeah, for sure.
And we'll definitely have some NDO in there too.
Yeah.
Be partying with them.
No, definitely. We got to get the bottles in there. So.
Yeah. I had some questions for you, if that's cool.
Of course.
Since I met you, you're someone who's very aware of who they are. And I think that's so important in the world we're in, because I think a lot of us get lost in day-to-day activities and everything. We don't make enough time for self-awareness. What was like a pivotal point in your life that really pushed you into that space of, or maybe it's been your whole life, I'm not sure. It's something I've always wanted to know, because to have that awareness of who you are and to not let it be so much about the ego, you're very much about everyone else too. How did it get to that point?
Well, you framed it perfect at the end there.
Yeah.
Because I think I've always known who I am.
Yeah.
At a young age, I always knew, like at a very young age, I knew that I was meant for more than just the average life. Whether that could have been ego driven, that could have been what have you, but maybe football did that to me. But I was always a really good athlete. I was always somebody that like kind of knew, you know, when I walked in the room, for some reason, it wasn't even like that I was trying. It just like I was an attention. Like I was always somebody that got the attention. So I was always somebody that was the star in the play and the lead singer in this and the, you know, like all that kind of stuff. So, and I was always somebody that did things differently. So I'll give you an example. Like I was the first kid in 5th grade to wear unisex clothes. Gotcha. And I'll never forget, I got super embarrassed because a girl had the exact same clothes I had on, and I came home and I was like, Mom, what did you do this for? You know, but I was willing to take the chance. When Crisscross like came out and they were wearing their pants backwards, I was like the first person to do it and come to school dressed like that, you know?
Yeah.
I used to do stuff like that. I was always like kind of a risk taker when it came to that. But I will say that I was a little bit more ego driven until I started running a business. And when I started running a business, I came from a background of coaching, right? Football culture. So it was a lot of like, you're going to do it my way or nothing at all. Like it was a lot of yelling, a lot of like, you know, that's how coaches treated you, especially in the SEC. Like, I mean, you got cussed out daily and you were just told what to do. And if you didn't do that way, then you weren't going to play. So
wow.
I came from that culture. So it was like, I thought that was like leadership. I thought that's how you did things. So I learned very fast that you're going to run everybody off if you're just kind of doing it in one way and you're doing it my way or the highway. So I started reading a lot. And I do wish that I got into reading earlier in life. I read a little bit earlier in life, but I really got heavy into reading probably like 33, 34 years old. Yeah. And where I was reading like multiple books a week, like multiple. And Ego is the Enemy was one that Ryan Holiday was one that like really resonated with me. And then just, I mean, I can name all these books on the shelf I've read and whatever. So I think when you again, this is when you commit to becoming a better version of yourself, then you're going to be better for those around you. So you're going to learn things about yourself that you didn't even realize, that you didn't have in you. And I think we're all, if we're being authentic and truthful, of course we're all self-centered and we think about ourselves first. Like that's, if you're out there acting like you don't, then you're lying. Course. Like you're inside your own body. Like you're constantly like your mind is always talking to you, right? And ultimately it's making a choice, a decision to do the right thing, to do the thing that's not about yourself, to do something that's for someone else. I'd say the frustrating thing, and I'm probably not answering your question right, but I'll tell you the frustrating thing for me, and I think when you kind of, where it takes me into a dark place is when you can be as genuine as possible, really trying to do something the right way and still be looked at as you're doing it the wrong way and be talked about bad and be framed as the bad guy and be framed as the dictator and the egomaniac and the guy that only cares about himself. And so that's when it does get hard, because you're like, man, if they only knew I'm doing this because I love them, I do this because I want to see them better. Because the truth is that what I'm doing most of the time though is challenging people. Most of the time I'm trying to make other people better because I've found the path and now I'm trying to share it. And a lot of times that's being very, very direct and very, very literal. And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't want to be told, what you're doing is wrong. Like what you're doing is not good for you. Of course. If you did this way. And again, I don't have all the answers by any means, but there are certain things, especially when it comes to my profession.
Definitely.
I've been the elite of the elite. Like,
of course.
I've never really so when I was the elite of the elite, I didn't talk about it. So I wasn't on like Instagram going, look who I'm training. And,
of course. Yeah.
Look at this. Like I always did it like under the radar.
Right.
And so I did. So that's why you don't see me as like probably known as like a celebrity trainer, because I didn't promote it really like that. I was always in that warehouse, 110 degrees, the gate locked, and nobody even knew we were back there. When I was, working with Usher and Rico Love and Danger and Scott Stapp and all these athletes. I mean, thousands of athletes. Yeah. But I never really promoted it that much. So I say that to say, when you have my background and you've done it at such a high level, like where you were training like 14 to 16 hours a day and bringing in $80,000 a month and you're the elite of the elite. And then a 22-year-old that you hire 15 years later doesn't do it the way you are showing them how to do it. It's kind of like, what? I mean, it would be like, and again, I don't know who your mentors are or whatever, but like, I mean, who's the highest, like Tiesto or something like that, like giving you some pointers and you being like, no, I know what I'm doing, bro. Like, never mind, So those are the moments where it is frustrating when people don't, take the advice or don't read the books that you show them or follow the path that you show them. So that's where it can get a little frustrating. But I will say this, no matter no matter the response, no matter how people react, I will always be me. And I'm not going to dim my light or lower my standards.
Right.
Because someone's offended or someone, you're too intense or, you need to calm down. Like I can't stand shit like that. Like, bro, you need to rise up. Like if you can't handle me, then you need to, Oscar since day one has just kept raising his thing. Amber, Eli, I haven't worked as much with Eli yet, but I think but Amber has come a long way. Like, Amber used to just cry everything I said, and now she can handle it a little bit better. She still cries a little bit, but I just say that to say, like, you're gonna find the people that can handle you. So don't you want to become a better person, and you want to improve who you are, but you don't want to change who you are.
Hell no.
You know what I mean? And I think people they look at when people like me come into their lives, and they think sometimes I'm trying to change them. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take your authentic self and make that better. That's a difference.
You stole the word out of my mouth.
You know what I mean?
It's authentic.
You're right.
It's exactly what you're doing.
Because to me, we are all superstars. Like, there is a superstar in everybody. That's why I can't stand celebrity culture. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand the way people act and follow and treat celebrities and athletes. And because truth be told, we all can be that way. Like, everybody has it inside of them. Maybe not a professional basketball player, maybe not a singer, never been a dancer, but in whatever it is, if you are the best janitor on the planet, then that's pretty badass. Like, so, and you're all capable. I love the book by Robin Sharma, A Leader Who Has No Title.
Ooh,
and it's really good because it just talks about just owning where you are with what you have. So, like, wherever you are in your life, you can be the best at it. And then what happens is, if you're the best, whatever's been handed to you, if you become the best at that, it's going to open other doors. And I think people live in this space of like, oh my God, I really want to be doing this. I don't want to be doing that. I really want to be doing this. But if you can't be good or great at what you're doing, how are you gonna get what makes you think you're going to be great at the next thing? So it's like, start where you are with what you have and be great at it and own it. And especially if that's what you've made a decision to do.
Fuck yeah.
Like, stop, quitting this job, quitting this relationship, quitting this every 5 seconds because it's getting hard or it's getting difficult. No. Keep going. Like, keep going. And the least you can say that I gave it everything I had. Then once you give it everything you have, and if it doesn't work, okay, then you pivot. Because that's not quitting. That's being smart. And then it's like, you're just going on to the next thing.
100%.
But people quit too often. They quit too soon. And if I had if I could look at anything in my life that says, like, how did I get to where I'm today and how am I going to get to where I really want to go? Yeah. Is just, you don't stop. Exactly. You literally do not stop.
Yeah. The reason I ask you this is because I think as we move and become successful in life, self-awareness is the most important key to all of it, right? It's like, if you don't know who you are or what you want, you're always searching for what everybody thinks you're supposed to be doing, right? Yep. And for so long in my life, it was like, I needed that validation, like, oh, you're a dope DJ, you're this, you're that, you're so cool. And it started to be like this fame complex almost. We're like, oh, all these people are validating me that I'm good at this, so I'm supposed to be doing it. And then you reach a point where you get smacked in the face and you're kicked off the decks or something. I'm like, am I not good at this? And what you got to do, I think, is the most important part, is be so aware of who you are that there's no question that you're supposed to be doing it. And I think as a society, some people forget that, or they get lost in it. They're like, oh, I just got to do this 9 to 5 and jump to the next one. You and I have built our careers off of believing in what we do and knowing that, like, no matter what fucking happens, you can't quit at it. And that's the part that scares me, is like, as a society, we're forgetting how aware we are of ourselves because we're being validated every second of the day. Likes, comments, all this stuff. The most important part, though, and this is why I look up to you out of everything, is you're so aware of who you are that you haven't stopped. You've taken this message from day one to this, and like, it's a testament. I mean, this never existed. Right. Like I told you when we first sat down, and to be able to push the message and never stop at it. And I think that's something that anyone's capable of. We're all capable of being a celebrity.
Yep.
It really is just being so aware and taking that time to be aware of who you are and what you want, instead of being stuck in like, I got to make money. I need to make sure I get likes or I look great, all this stuff. It's really just about being like, I love me. I know I'm good at this and this is what I want to do. And you jump. And like you said, it's like, even if you get smacked in the face, you got to keep going.
Yeah. And I think too, for me, and sorry to keep dropping name dropping books, but Simon Sinek, I've read all his books, and Start With Why is one of my favorite ones. And he talks about how if you attach yourself to a cause greater than yourself, then it also keeps you motivated, because if it's only about you, then it's very hard to keep going.
Yeah.
But if you can attach yourself to something greater than you, so for me, that's what No Days Off is. No Days Off for me is my Just Do It moment. It is, I want to see No Days Off as big as Just Do It. Like, that's something that I've said over and over again. As soon as I read, here's another book. As soon as I read Shoe Dog and I finished that book, I said, the Pitbull is going to be just as big as the Nike swoosh. Like, I know it, I see it. And then what is required of me to absolutely not stop until that happens. And so that's my purpose, my mission.
Yeah.
And then making sure that everyone around me understands the vision, and that's what it is. And we're not stopping until we get there. And then you rally the troops around you, get people to buy into that. And it's easy to buy into something that changes your life, right? So when you have over 2,000 members and over 50 employees, all having guys like yourself say, oh, it actually impacted my life. It actually helped me. Well, then it becomes a lot easier, because it's not necessarily me that impacted you. It's the movement that I created that impacted you. Yes, it's a byproduct. I had to create it. I had to start it. But Legend made an impact on you. Robin made an impact on you. So it becomes bigger than self. It becomes this like, ripple effect where everyone, like Oscar's posting stuff on his Instagram about what No Days Off means to him.
Yes.
Like Amber's asking all these followers on Instagram, what does No Days Off mean to you? And you're getting these different responses of how it affects them. And so these little slow drips every single day is filling up this massive reservoir of where we can take this.
Yeah.
And then if I can keep, this is kind of a funny analogy, but if I can keep jumping without worrying about the depth of the water, then no telling where we go. But I think people want to see the pool full before you put in all the work to get it there. And it's going to be a kiddie pool for a long time.
That's okay.
And then that's okay. Then it's going to be like the little lounge pool, like 3 feet. But we're not getting to the Olympic size pool unless you buy in, your friends buy in, the club buys in, your residencies buy in. And then all of a sudden we're building, and it's not just a Miami thing. It's a Vegas thing. It's a New York thing. And the next thing you know, we got people saying, Nos Dias Libres in Mexico. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the other part is you took the word authentic, and like, that's what this is. It's truly authentic, right? So the part that really resonates with anything that I do is like, it has to be authentic. I can't force anything.
It has to be.
And in therapy, I'm doing ego work right now, because I'm trying to find that balance between like people validating me and that fame complex versus me. And
you read Ego Is the Enemy?
I'm reading it right now.
Oh,
actually.
yeah? Okay, good.
And then there's another one, Michael Singer, The Surrender Experiment.
Okay.
Surrendering your ego.
And I got one more that I can't think of on the top of my head that you should read.
I need to get a list, because you dropped some really good.
Ton of lists.
Robin Sharma is one I love reading.
He's great. 5 a.m. Club is money.
My therapist said something that really hit me the other day. She's like, you have to remember that all things happen through you. You are a vessel, not to you or because of you. They're happening through you, and you are a vessel of maybe change or positivity, or it could be negativity,
right? Yeah,
whatever it is. And that, like, someone holding up the phone saying you're doing a great job versus someone saying boo, whatever it is, either thing that happens, you have to make sure that your ego isn't tied to that, because if you can do that, you're truly free. It's not anyone saying it. It's you telling you, I'm good at what I do. I'm supposed to be doing this. I love me, whatever it is. That's the right way to like treat your ego. And that's something that resonated with me. It's like all things happen through you.
Yeah. Most of the time people live their lives with everything's happening to me. And
exactly.
And you got to frame it the other way.
Yep.
So
it's so true. I had another question. It's on my phone. This was important for me because I've hit some points in life, but was there ever a low point in your life that really forced you to evolve?
So there's probably 2 moments.
If you are cool with sharing.
No, it's cool. Yeah. The first one was when football was taken away from me. So it's like my Oprah moment when I start crying. But no, I'm
sorry.
No, you're fine. You know, you work for something like hard, you know, you earn a scholarship. You're told your whole life that you're going to be, you know, an NFL football player. You're walking around at 240 pounds with a 22-inch neck and knocking people out and lifting tons of weight and, you know, playing in front of 100,000 people. And, you know, like that's what you are going to do. Right. And then all of a sudden you have a career-ending injury and it's like, nope, you're not doing that. So that was like a really dark moment for me when that happened, and lost a ton of weight and kind of, you know, dabbled in, you know, things I shouldn't have. But it literally, I kid you not, it lasted exactly 3 months. And then one day I woke up and I was like, nope, this is not this is not the end. This is not my story. I have something else, like something's going to happen. So I dove into exercise science, kinesiology, and like dove into my degree to learn about like why it happened to me. Like, why did I break my back? Why did my body fail me? And so I really poured into learning that.
Wow.
And then one of my things that have gotten me to where I am today was I took that lesson and I took that knowledge, and I was literally being hired by professional athletes to get them over injuries.
Wow.
And so, you know, people like Brandon Albert, Kansas City Chiefs and Miami Dolphins, and Sean Livingston, the Golden State Warriors, like came to me to say, you know, hey, I just came off a career-ending injury. Like could have been a career-ending injury or a really bad injury, and I need you to get me back. And that's what I was kind of known for. Or they were coming off a contract year, so I was very known for guys like Charles Johnson, Stephen Tulloch, guys that were about to sign, Sidney Rice, guys that were about to sign, where they had an opportunity to sign big contracts. So I got them, it's called their contract year.
Gotcha.
And so they would come to me on their contract year to have their best year. So then they get their big contract. And I literally was probably like, I want to say like, I don't want to exaggerate, but like 5 for 5, like guys that came to me and signed the biggest contracts of their career after they trained with me. So that was something that, like, again, started to put a little bit of purpose and why I had a career-ending injury and why my path changed.
Wow.
You know, why it wasn't a career in football, what have you, and whatever. And then I would say the other dark moment or whatever was, I opened up Legacy November 2008, and then December 2009, the entire gym flooded like past my knees. Like the entire gym was underwater. And I remember sitting on the plyo box and my feet were dangling in the water, and I was bawling, crying, and kind of feeling sorry for myself and like, what am I going to do? You know, and that lasted not 3 months. That lasted about 30 seconds.
I like
and
that.
I
Wow.
literally was like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? You know, like I literally was like talking to myself. I was like, what's wrong with you? So I started getting buckets and I literally started shoveling the water out of the gym. Then I rearranged the entire gym. Wow. And this was like, it was either Christmas Eve or around Christmas Eve. And then by the way, I'm broke as shit. Like the gym was a complete, technically fail. And, cleaned up the gym, got all the water out, rearranged it, made it look nice. Then I started cold calling people for personal training. And I did about 34 to $38,000 in personal training on the phone in that moment.
Jeez.
And
just like that,
just hit the year off, 2010, like freaking off, off to the races, but it was one of those moments where like I could have easily given up, like easily, it was like, but I believe that's life, right? Life is the decisions you make every single day. And you can either make this decision or make that decision. You can either make a decision that's going to help you, or you can make a decision that's going to hinder you. You can make a decision that's going to elevate you, or you can make a decision that's going to set you back. And so for me, it's in those moments where just make the decision to keep going, to keep trying. And you can cry and you can feel sorry for yourself and you can, whatever, but just, you got to get up from that and you got to wipe yourself off and say, nope, not today. Like it's not happening today. And then in my life too, I mean, I believe I have a lot of favor on my life from God, and it's because my faith is strong and I have a praying mom and a praying family. And it's one of those things that it's a strength that you can't do yourself. When you have an inner strength that you don't even realize where it comes from, then you're able to do things that other people think is crazy, So.
True. That's actually like, I'm so glad to hear this from you, because someone who's worried, that's like my biggest fear is failure, right? Or losing everything I've built. I think it's so inspiring to hear, because, and that's the question I've always wanted to ask you, is like, how did you get to this point? Because I see legacy, I see No Days Off, and like things are booming, everything looks great and awesome, and I know that there's been crazy hardships along the way.
Oh yeah, and we're still like, we've still got a long way to go, like course. A long way to go.
Yeah,
and the truth is I would say this to you. I would say another thing that I've done in my life is that once you reach a certain level of success, you almost have to be willing to give up that level of success and take 4 or 5 steps backwards in order to go to the next level. Yeah. And I think a lot of people get comfortable where they are because they've experienced a little bit of success, right? So they're making a decent amount of money, they have their car, they have the girlfriend, they're doing well, and then that's just where they stay. Right. It's like, and they're comfortable. So I've always been a person that I get to a certain level and then I'm like, okay, how can I outdo that? And a lot of times that means, I gotta not pay myself for a year. I gotta go raise more money because I need to get here. I need to sacrifice this so I can get there. Like, it's analyzing where you are versus where you really want to be. And then another thing too is that when you have the vision in your head where you're supposed to be, but everybody else is, congratulations. Congratulations. Great job. You're so successful. But yet, you haven't arrived. You still haven't even touched the surface of where you want to be. Yeah. Then you keep going. Because you're like, I'm not done yet.
Yeah. I needed to hear this because like I'm in this uncomfortable phase of life where I don't want to be in the same space. I've kind of plateaued in this space. Yep. And it's like, how do I get to the next one? And I've taken some steps back because I knew I needed to make space for it, but it's so uncomfortable. But hearing it from you makes me know that like it's what has to be done to evolve.
You're probably in one of those situations, I'm speculating, so forgive me, but like
no,
you now have a certain amount that like you're getting paid, and it's like if you keep saying yes, then you're gonna make more money, but there might be an opportunity for you to say no so that you can work on something could bring you even more later.
Exactly.
So I call it the instant gratification versus delayed gratification. So oftentimes we always strive for the instant gratification, whether it's a donut tastes amazing at the time, right? But if you say no to the donut, the 6-pack is a hell of a lot better of a delayed gratification. Mm-hmm. Well, some would say some would prefer the donut, but and then money is a funny thing. Like a lot of people only focus on the money that they make at a certain, like, I do this, I make this. Right. I do this, I make this. But they don't think about well, what if you invested in this?
Exactly.
What if you said no to this so that this door would open? What if you did this for free over and over and over again so that it would open a door that otherwise wouldn't be there? What, you know, I could go through all these things.
Yeah.
And that was another thing too, I feel like I did all the time, was I would just sacrifice my time for a delayed, you know, applause or whatever.
Right.
So yeah,
that's huge to know, because that's the hardest part, is like you have these huge setbacks right in your life, and then you find new success, and then it's like, obviously we always want more, but there's gonna be a point where we are like, all right, I'm good. Maybe I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, there never will be. You know, and that's kind of,
I don't think certain people are built, like, I don't think I'm built to, and again, not to not be grateful. Let me be very clear. Like, I'm absolutely grateful for everything that's happened in my life and the position that I'm in, but I'm not satisfied. Like, and I don't want to be satisfied.
Same.
I want, and because I feel like what I'm doing is actually impacting other people, and it's having an effect. I mean, you're here today because of it. So it's like, for me, it's almost like a calling to say, you're not allowed to stop because you're impacting too many people. Right. And also there's a weight, right? You know, like when you're like the boss of your organization, and you have people that rely on you. So when you're the leader, and you watch and you see, like, you're providing families with money, the ability to, you know, raise their kids and send their kids to school and college and have babies and, you know, mortgages and all this stuff. That's a lot of pressure. So for me, all that is like, it's a responsibility that says, I can't stop. Like, I don't want to, and I don't want to stop.
You're built that way too. Yeah. Which is huge.
Yeah. It's like, it's just fun. Like, really.
I love
that. I don't know how you wake up, but like, I literally wake up like with a little bit of a panic. Like, that's how I wake up. And I've been that way for a long, long time. I've been that way for like, since I was like 17, but I wake up like, what do we got to do today? Like, let's go. And I'm not saying I wake up with that kind of energy. Right. So that's the thing. It's like, sometimes you wake up and you feel like you got ran over by a truck. Right. But my mind is always going like this. So even though my body is sometimes like, oh my God, here we go again, 4 a.m. Like, really? You're doing this to me again? My mind is saying, we got to go. We got to go. We got to do this. We got to do that. Like, and I think that's where it comes from, is it's like this constant drive of like, what's next? Let's go.
I love that. You know, that's huge. What's the, it doesn't have to be too personal. What's the daily routine like? Are you usually up at like 3:34?
Yeah. So my alarm goes off at 4. I'll be honest. Like, you know, there are days where I, you know, hit snooze. Like, it's not something that's very often, like, at all. But, you know, like, what I am trying to do lately is be a little bit more aware of sleep and aware of like time. So, you know, if I, you know, like last night I got home at 11 o'clock and went to bed at midnight. So I got up at like 4:45, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm not so hard on like, you know, it's got to be 4 a.m. every day. Where I used to be like, I had to be up at 4 a.m. Otherwise, like, if it wasn't 4 a.m., then, you know, I was like a loser, you know, I felt like that. But now it's like, I give myself a little bit of grace. But for the most part, I wake up at 4 a.m. And by the way, that's Monday through Sunday. That's not like just the day. Yeah. And then it's typically straight to the gym, and or it's reading, you know, the Bible sometimes, or just something, you know, reading, whether it's knowledge or whatever, like books. And then I get my workout in. I have sometimes 1 or 2 clients. I don't really train very much anymore, but for the most part, 1 or 2 clients. And then like by like 7:30, the phone is blowing up, you know, with this, that, and another, like all kinds of stuff, whether it's the water, the, you know, the gyms or what have you, is now it's like work. And then it's pretty much work
throughout the day,
all day. And it's, and then it's also like, I want to be very intentional with my son. And so if I have any downtime, then, and that's part of my routine is I go take my son to school at 8 o'clock. Nice. So that's like the highlight of my day. I love that. That's just something. And then if I don't have something, I try to find time to like take him to the park or do, hang out with him.
Nice.
And then I do give myself like a little bit of downtime.
Yeah.
So whether it be in the middle of the day or in the evening, just like an hour or two of just like really not really doing much, just kind of like,
you need that.
Yeah. It's kind of my recharge, it's whether I watch a podcast on YouTube or listen to an audiobook or take like a 20-minute nap or something like that, like just something to
reset the brain,
and to know, because especially when you're going 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day, all day, you need a little bit of breaks in your day to like, sometimes I'll just go for a walk or walk on the treadmill or get like a little second workout in, like a 20-30 minute workout in.
Nice.
So little stuff like that.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, but it's boring, it's not like everybody thinks, it's some kind of like amazing schedule or whatever, but it's really just Groundhog Day, but it's like, but that's it. That's the job. The job is to essentially be available
definitely
throughout the day for those that need you, and be a voice, be an inspiration, be a fixer, be a problem solver all day long. So like find the solution.
Right.
If a problem comes to you, do not complain, do not get upset. Well, the upset part sometimes happens. Like my staff will look at me right now they'll be like, "What?
Yeah, right.
Get upset all the time." No, but it's literally though pivoting as fast as you can and not panicking, but just finding a solution. Whether it's construction, whether it's dealing with Amber's dumb posts on social media. I'm just joking. No, it's whatever it is. So I'm playing.
I love that. The routines are so important. That's why I asked, because I always wondered what successful people do throughout their day.
Have you ever read Atomic Habits?
I haven't.
So that's a really good one. But it's, to me, your habits become your rituals, become your routine. I think I'm saying that right. But anyways, it's like Tony Robbins explains it pretty well. But you literally become the things you do daily. So that's who you're becoming. You're becoming what you're listening to. You're becoming who you're hanging out with, and you're becoming what you're putting into your life. So it's not that like,
right.
It's not crazy to think about that. Like if you're listening to ratchet music all day long, you're probably cussing a lot. You probably sound like a sailor, If you are eating like shit all day long, you probably look like crap or feel like crap. And of course there's exceptions to the rules. I know guys that eat like crap and they look like Greek gods, but that's very rare, very rare. And it doesn't last, know, and once they get older, it's going to bite them in the ass. But
definitely,
I think we become the things we put into ourselves and what we watch and what we pay attention to. And I think, we got to be intentional. We got to be aware, and we have to also to just pay attention to the details. I think that's lacking in the world too. Is like
big time.
The amount of misspelled words and bad grammar and like just laziness in the world is ridiculous. Like
so. I love that.
What's next for you? Where are you going next?
I am in Nashville.
Okay.
And Nashville, I've been
legacy in Nashville.
Are you?
2025.
Shit. I will be there a lot. I'm thinking about buying a space out there because a lot of music happening.
I want to buy some land out there.
Yeah.
I got to connect you. I got a lot of people in Nashville.
Please, it's booming out there.
Do you know Jim Johnson?
I don't.
So major producer in Nashville. Great guy. Amazing man.
I know of him, but I've never met him. Yeah.
He did like Lollipop. Wayne. Like,
huge.
That was like massive. He's done a lot more stuff than that, but I just named that because that's what he's kind of known for.
I love it out there. Nashville, then Chicago, but like next for me is really building a community, kind of what you did, but within music, in the sense of, already with the school, we're building such a huge community of people who are, the music industry is so like tight knit, they don't let you in. So my goal is to really take the experience, the skill, the knowledge, and also put people in places that they deserve to be in. So for me, it was like, I kind of taken a message of what you've done and other people along my path. And it's like, I've almost become put in the expert role. So mentors have helped me, why not be a mentor to as many as I can?
For sure.
And give them opportunity, because at the end of the day, if we're not pushing each other, like, what's the point? You know?
I got to get you in touch with Danger. So have you ever met?
I met him
Nathan?
once. I think I met him once.
Have you heard of his new project, Realm?
No.
So Realm is like a space, an app for creatives, for producers, musicians, and definitely y'all should connect.
I love that.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
So
dude, thank you. Man, thank you.
Man.
Oh, you dropped some gems for me. I really needed to hear a lot of stuff.
Yes.